Coming up on the show, looks like we have Scott Morey from General Growth. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Pleasure. How's the conference treating you so far?
It's been productive, I think. So
Really?
It's been good, yeah.
What for you has been one of the more productive things going on here?
A lot of Realcomm is just about connecting with other people you haven't seen in a while.
Sure.
I was at the CIO forum yesterday, which I thought actually the format of that I thought was quite constructive. And I always say if you walk away with one good idea over that, over a meeting or a discussion, then you did pretty well. And I probably walked away with half a dozen things yesterday, so it was productive. Yeah, it was good.
How is the CIO's job changing, and how have you seen it change in the last couple of years?
Well, it's a good question. I think part of the answer is how to be successful as a CIO, right? Which I think plays into that. And I think understanding the business and real estate dominates actually, where if you purely have the competency and you're selling the services around infrastructure and IT and development mean IT development, I think you sell yourself short. And the role really is trying to be a bridge between IT and the business, but I actually think it's more slanted to the business side than the IT side. That might be me personally, because
Sure.
I feel that way. But the opportunities are there for us to step up as CIOs within that role, and I think to be an equal member in the executive team and to create real value, not qualitative value, but real value. So, in line with that, I actually have an Ebitda target every day, or every year, and I think every CIO should as well. Not I'm saving 2% of someone's time, but I think we should be charged with how do we find income, whether above or below the line, within an organization.
Interesting.
So,
Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, I can't go through too much because we're
Okay,
public, but
sure.
I just believe that. I mean,
You set goals for yourself for how much value you can bring to the
I have an
company.
Ebitda target every year.
Yeah.
And part of that maybe I came out of the advisory world, and I always want to feel like I'm paying for myself, and so each year I've established a pretty decent, not an easy Ebitda target, and have hired people that I think they've been with me for years that have the competency to help me kind of mine the organization to find those opportunities. And so far so good. We're 2 years in, and it's gone okay.
To me, one of the exciting things about being a CIO is that it's really your wisdom. You get to direct the strategy. What's one of the ways that you looking back at your legacy of being CIO at General Growth,
Yeah.
what's one of the philosophical ideas or streams that you've been able to let the company adopt? How have you put your print on it?
So as far as things that we've originated, so I would say on a range of categories, what we do in regards to energy was us. We drove us down, we had lack of transparency on the deal side, and our means to effectively forecast, and that was originated and then sort of co-led by us. I think when you look at now, people talk about in this role, not just the role, but I think the function in total, about information brokers. I don't know if I really got that until recently, and I think something came out uniquely in the session we had today, and we're talking about big data and what does it mean, and so it was, it's really small data with big ideas, and it's finding creative ways to connect points, right, that others in the organization wouldn't see, because we're touching parts they don't see, but connecting points in a unique way to add real value. And I think we're starting to do that. I think we have a long ways to go, but I think those are the types of things I think that I don't know if it's my stamp or the people that work with me that really do the work, would say that we're leaving behind.
What's the opportunity? What's the one thing you're kind of looking forward to taking? What's the direction you're going to be moving in the future, and what are you kind of excited about?
Well, I think perfecting the analytics and understanding the business in a meaningful fashion. It's almost like you've had information overload in whatever role you're in, right? And getting that into something that's simple that makes sense. And I think the second one for the space in total is the convergence of what I call the virtual and physical worlds, because they are blending, and more, and I don't know if people they sort of get it, but they really don't. And I think a lot of us in this role are very passive in regards to generating ideas in that topic, and trying to initiate things that would take us further down that path. But it's true, regardless of your asset class, we're retail, if you're office, you're industrial, I'm just a little truckier, certainly multifamily, office and retail, there's a real play there in how you change the environment, not just for your employees, but for your customers, which has multiple tiers for many of us, right? Because even, I'll switch gears on office, you got whoever leases space, but the employees in that space every day. I go with someone in the mall while I'm dealing with shoppers, I'm dealing with employees, they say, probably have a couple thousand people every day coming to my malls that are working there every day. Like, how are we making it better for them in a way, not just going back to my earlier statement qualitatively, but in a way that has real financial benefit.
Very cool.
So,
one last question. Sounds like you're having to keep your finger on a pulse. Sounds like you're having to come up with a lot of creative ideas. And this is a little bit out of left field, but what keeps you creative?
fear of becoming a dinosaur. So I actually have a phrase that says fear and desperation lead to creativity.
Yeah.
And some points I'm scared to death, other times I'm desperate, but it keeps me moving forward.
That is awesome.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's a real talk from the CIO. And thanks for being real about that. It's neat to get that kind of feedback. I think a lot of us think that everyone else has it together all the time and has the strategy planned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, thank you.
Scott Morey from General Growth, thank you for joining us today.